today I'll be talking about my fertility preservation journey and the reason for me to have the consultation with a gynae as recommended by my chemo doctor is because chemotherapy could affect my fertility rate in the future. Therefore, it's an important topic for young female cancer patients that intend to have children in the future. So it really depends on whether if it's a concern for you that you will have lower fertility rate to go for the consultation or not. So for me, I love children and might want to have one in the future. So I think that it is better to have more options open for the future as well. Therefore, I went for a gynae consultation at Care Clinic at SGH to know more about fertility preservation options that's available for me. And today I'll be sharing with you more about these options, sharing the cost as well. Firstly, I'll be talking about how chemo affects fertility rate. So as a female is born with all the eggs she will have in her lifetime, and she cannot produce new eggs during her lifetime. As she moves through puberty, hormones allow mutual eggs to be released every month during menstrual cycle until the female reaches menopause and the hormonal cycle eventually stops. So this is also something that I only know when I meet the gynae. When as a baby, a female baby, I'm born with all the eggs that I will ever have in my lifetime. All along I thought that during menstruation we are producing eggs, like we will produce eggs ourselves. The number of eggs is set right at birth. Each individual is different. So moving on, the hormones needed to release eggs each month and prepare the uterus for a possible pregnancy are made in the cells of the ovaries, and these cells are called oocytes. So oocytes tend to divide quickly, so they are often affected by chemo. So note that the way chemo works is that it kills cells in the body that are dividing quickly, which is how cancer cells are. They divide very quickly. So they spot this cell, and this cells includes the good cell and the bad cell. So these oocytes tend to divide quickly, which they are often affected by chemo. So they are often killed by chemo as well. So chemo can lead to the loss of these important hormones, and which can affect your fertility. And also your eggs could be damaged from the chemotherapy as well. Therefore, sometimes because of this, women go through early menopause. But however, it's hard to predict to what extent would chemo affect your fertility. So therefore, it's important to know what kind of preservation options that you have and whether you are able to afford to have it and whether you want to do it or not. Yeah. So I'll be showing you a chart. So as you can see from birth, for example, you have 1 to 2 million eggs. Then you go through puberty. So by puberty, you only have 300,000 to 500,000 eggs. And then by age 32, you will drop to 120k eggs. And then it starts to decline slowly at age 37 and then slowly go into menopause. This is what my gynae tell me. So let's say like these are the eggs that you will have. If you naturally have lesser eggs than like the average, and you have to go through chemotherapy, you can go into menopause much earlier than others. So therefore, if you go through like chemotherapy and you suffer the most extent of the chemotherapy and it kills like maybe half of the eggs you have, that also means that you go into early menopause 2 times faster than normal people. Therefore, like this is what my gynae suggests that I should really consider the fertility preservation options that the Care Clinic provides. I was told that the younger you are, the more eggs you will usually have in your ovaries as compared to others. This gives me a higher chance to keep some fertility in spite of damage from the chemotherapy or treatments. And women who are treated for cancer before they are 35 have the best chance of becoming pregnant after treatment. So depending on the treatment that I'm getting, they also say that most of them in their teens or 20s never stop having period until they reach menopause. But there are also some younger women who stop having menstrual period during treatment but have a return of them after they are off chemo for a while. You can still conceive after recovering from chemo treatment. It's just that the fertility rate is lowered. Therefore, there are these options available. I'll just be sharing like what is offered in Singapore. Recently, Singapore has approved egg freezing for single women in Singapore starting next year. So I guess this will be a good video for people to know more about fertility preservations for women in Singapore, as I don't really see like other people talk about it, and since I'm able to know more about it because of my medical conditions, then I think it would be good to share more information that I know. So now I'll be sharing with you the type of fertility preservation offered. So there's 4 options. So for married couple, they can choose 1 to 4, but for single patient, they can only do the options 2 to 4. So the first option is IVF. They are for married couples. The second one is oocyte cryopreservation, also known as egg freezing. Then the third one is ovarian tissue cryopreservation. The fourth one is ovarian suppression with hormonal injection. Also note that assisted reproduction is only allowed for women below age 45 in Singapore. So the first option is IVF, and what they do is they will collect your egg and then fertilize with the sperm outside of your womb. So for cancer patient is that for this fertilized egg, they will then cryopreserve, which is frozen, to freeze them for future use. This fertilized egg will be preserved and can only store up to your 45th birthday. Then after that, when you finish your chemotherapy and when you are ready for pregnancy, this fertilized egg will then be transferred into your womb through a procedure. And that's how this IVF works. Then the cost for this, they say is 15,000 to 18,000, and the cost for the frozen storage of the fertilized egg is 500 per year if either spouse is Singaporean. There's a government grant up to 6.3k, and also you can use your MediSave, which you can use up to 6k. For the second option is the oocyte cryopreservation, which is egg freezing. The procedure and risk for this is the same as option 1. It's just that the difference from option 1 is that it is unfertilized eggs that are being frozen instead of fertilized eggs, which are the embryos. After chemotherapy, so at the time where you are ready to be pregnant, like when you're married, then you can request to have the eggs to be fertilized, which is using the IVF method where it will be fertilized outside of the womb with your spouse's sperm. The resultant fertilized eggs will then be transferred to your womb. So the chance of conceptions for this range from 5 to 20%. If I remember correctly, both of IVF and this, their chance of conceptions is around the same, the percentage. But my doctor also mentioned that the success rates are lower for women over 35, and egg freezing in women over the age of 38 is unlikely to lead to pregnancy. If I were to go through this, the treatment of my medical condition, which is my chemotherapy, will have to be delayed. Let's talk about the cost. So for this, the cost is also about 15k to 18k, and the cost of the eggs, the unfertilized egg storage, is also 500 per year. But because I'm single, there is no government grant, and by right you cannot use your MediSave, and it has to be fully funded by the patient. But the care clinic did tell me that they have tried to appeal before for other patients and they are able to use their MediSave. So for me, the care clinic did help to appeal for me to use my MediSave. Yeah, so I chose egg freezing. Next, the third option is ovarian tissue cryopreservation. Current pregnancy rate for it is approximately 20% worldwide. So the process is that the whole ovary will be removed and the pieces of ovary are stored before starting the cancer treatment. This involves a keyhole surgery to remove the ovaries. After treatment, the ovary is transplanted back via a second surgery when the patient is ready to conceive. So it is possible that when you want to use the tissue, it may not produce usable eggs or may not result in pregnancy. So you may require additional IVF procedure to increase your chance of pregnancy. And then the lifespan of the ovary pieces is very variable and can last up to 10 years. But they come with a risk for this procedure. There may be hidden cancer cells in the ovarian tissue which can be reintroduced back into the body with the transplant. Therefore, it's not suitable for everyone. And also, if you have history of ovarian cancer in your family, then it's also not really recommended to do this. Yeah, so the cost for this, they have various costs and then I added them up. It's about 14k for this, and the cost of the frozen ovarian tissue storage is about 500 to 600 per year. And then if you may require additional IVF, there's also cost for that as well. And then lastly, we have ovarian suppression with hormonal injection. So it's basically a hormonal injection that you have to take every month so that it kind of puts the ovary to sleep and also protect the ovaries from the chemotherapy. It's still under research, so the research is actually looking into using this hormonal treatment to protect the ovaries from chemotherapy, and this hormone stop your ovaries from working during chemotherapy. It will be consist of monthly injections given during the duration of your chemotherapy, but it also comes with some common side effects including hot flashes, mood swings. This usually resolve after treatment, so you don't have to worry about it. Once your chemotherapy has finished, you can stop the injections and then your ovaries will probably start working again. At first, I was keen to only have this hormonal injection because the cost of it is about 200 to 300 per month. Consider the more affordable options, but because the percentage of it is unknown and they really need more time to know whether it works or not, so I think that I would try to consider the other options. In the end, I chose egg freezing because for me the ovarian tissue, the whole procedure seems a bit scary or complicated. Like when I heard about it, I feel that egg freezing is more suitable. So in the end, I chose egg freezing as my fertility preservation options. And then additionally, I also have this monthly hormonal injection. Yeah, so I was recommended by the gynae to have the injection together with the egg freezing so that I would be able to have more of my options available. So I've finished sharing about the options available in Singapore, and then because this video will be too long, so I've split into two. I'll be sharing my process of my egg freezing and also the side effect that I have from it. Yeah, so I'll be sharing in my part 2.
So tell me when I'm fighting my lonely nights, I standing tall like a giant. Yeah, I'll be going higher. So don't you tell me when I'm dying my lonely fights. stand on like a giant.